Great greetings of the audio gods to you. I'm Robert Sutherland Chapman, and this is Lee
the Captain Anderton.
What's your middle name, Lee?
I can't tell you, it's embarrassing. Actually, it's no more embarrassing than Sutherland, in fairness. And my middle name depends on where you're from and how you pronounce it, but I like to say St. John. Some people say St. John. If you were in Airhawk, you'd be St. John.
Awesome!
I know.
So you're St. John. So you're Lee St. John Anderton.
Yeah.
Well, I'm Robert Sutherland Chapman, you're Lee St. John Anderton, from Andertons.co.uk here in the sunny England heart of Guildford.
We are. And today we have some new Les Pauls, if you can ever call a Les Paul new. But these are kind of interesting and cool because one of the cool things, if you are a gigantic chain of music stores in America, you have enough buying power to go to Gibson and say, could you, do this and this and this and this and this, inspired by this and that and this, and they'll go, that's fine, order a million zillion of them and we'll do it. So of course sometimes that happens. And sometimes those guitars are kind of very, very cool, like the ES339 was one of those. And sometimes the guitars are a bit meh. A lot of the studio bits and bobs are a bit like that. Anyway, this is absolutely one of those things that's very cool. And by rights, little old Andertons shouldn't really have any of these to sell because they're supposed to be exclusive to some big American retailer. But there was an overrun of guitars and a few crept into these fine shores of ours, and Andertons tried to snap them all up.
Wow. You were lucky because
yes.
these are really nice.
So this is, or Gibson say anyway, and I would concur, this is a sort of inspired by the sort of classic 80s types of guitar mods that would happen to a Les Paul. It's called a Les Paul Traditional Pro 2.
And everything kind of does something, doesn't it?
Everything does something. They all do a doodah, don't they?
They've got a thing.
We should really turn our amps onto standby.
No, it's much more effective if you have them on off standby.
Well, I'm going to standby, so you can be the noisy one. So what's cool is that it's basically a Les Paul with a choice of either a 60s inspired neck, which is what these two have got, but if you go to the Andertons website, there's one particular colour, another burst colour, that gives you the slightly more chubber neck that you get on a 50s guitar.
Chubber?
Chubber.
You only get chubber with Andertons.
What was that? Chubber! The back of the guitar is a satin finish, which is where Gibson can save quite a lot of money by not gloss finishing the back of the guitar. You don't really notice it visually, it's more of a feel thing. And the front is lacquered, very cool mahogany body with a maple top, just like you'd expect. Locking machine heads, so kind of a pro feature, but what I like is it's locking machine heads but still with the sort of tulip actual machine head, so it kind of
Grovers.
It's sort of vintage but modern. These awesome looking zebra pups are a classic 57 and a super 57, so that's a bit new, or not new, but a throwback. The scratch plate, I've never really noticed the scratch plate changing in shape over the years, but allegedly it does, and this is a sort of an 80s stroke 90s looking scratch plate.
I always take mine off because I can't abide scratch plates and Les Pauls, and it looks like a woodworm went in here and came out here. But I think it's fine to have it on there.
I can't abide scratch plates.
I just don't like them.
What a diva.
No, I love Les Pauls. I love them without the plate. I like them naked.
But the goodness, the cool goodness bit, as Rob said, is do this, is that it has built-in Morse code. Listen, ready?
Yeah. Yes.
two, what would normally be your volumes, or in fact are your volumes, if you don't Morse code them, are coil splits. Now, for all you guitar nerdy geek people out there, these are real splits, as opposed to what you get on the 2013 Les Paul Standard, which is a tap.
Yes.
So tell them what that means, Rob. Tap that, tap that.
Well, it means that it actually turns this into two individual single coils rather than just removing some of the winds.
So that's cool. So we've got genuine splits here. However, I'm going to let Rob tell you about the last feature because that is badass.
All right. This button here, it gives you 10 dB of boost.
Wow.
Boost! 10 dB of boost. Boom!
And I'm guessing by the fact that we have a little battery compartment on the back here, it is like kind of like having a boost pedal built in.
Well, 10 dB is a lot of boost. You want to be careful with this.
Yes.
Because you can't dial in the amount of the 10 dB. It's... Or can you?
No, you're right. I think that's still a tone, isn't it?
It's 10 dB or nothing.
Yes.
So if you're on the clean channel gigging and you hammer that, wow, that's going to be special. Did you hear about the Italian chef that died?
No, I didn't.
He passed away.
Oh, no way. And did you hear about the rumour that Cadbury's, or Nestle if you're in America, are bringing out an Oriental chocolate bar?
No, Lee.
No, neither did I. Could just be a Chinese whisper. Yeah, 10 dB, to put that into sort of, what does that actually mean? Every 3 extra dB of gain that you have is double what you had before.
However, if you're driving the front end of a valve amplifier with lots of saturated gain, you might not hear as much of a difference as if you're going into the clean power section.
And that's because the very way in which distortion works is once you've reached a point where you've got that kind of maximum clipping going on, and I'm doing this sort of 90s rave style dancing to try and show you what a sine wave might be that's distorting. Essentially what happens is the more you drive it, it just can't distort anymore. Certainly can't go any louder.
Yeah, and we can demonstrate that right now with my JVM.
Let's do it.
Because the Juvum has a bunch of different settings.
So let's find a green setting on a Juvum.
Okay, red, green. So here's the green setting. I'm just going to give you humbucker. Fiddly. And if I activate our 10 dB of boost, it's a boost there.
So it's a boost. So, and the cool thing is, if I do it on the Fender, which is a kind of a cleaner sound, you'll get
disco on you then.
Probably more of a volume boost. You can see what we're saying there. You don't get a volume boost effect if you're already on a driven channel. So here is what Fender call the drive channel on yellow mode. So again, it's pretty kind of crunchy. And then with the boost,
that's a substantial amount of boost.
It is just like, it's like kicking in a boost pedal, isn't it?
It is.
It's like, and Gibson say as well that when it's turned off, it's completely true bypass, so none of the signal goes through any sort of tone sapping boost circuit.
Well, let me give you some of the lead tones from this beautiful beast. I'm going to step it up to an orange section, but I'm not going to use the boost, or maybe I will do just to see if it adds a bit of sustainiac. So it kicks in that last little bit that you need on a solo when you're using saturated gain to push you over into that kind of continual saturated feedback.
Very nice too. And again, absolutely continuing the mystery that is, why does a Les Paul plugged into a Marshall just sound so nailed on magic? We've got no pedals. me show you how the coil splits work on my guitar. I'm using a Fender Hot Rod Deluxe on a completely clean tone. Both the volume controls will independently split the pickup. So we've got heaps of different kind of versions. So I've got my traditional, no I haven't, hang on.
There it is.
Turn it on, that usually helps.
That's what does the trick.
Here's my neck humbucker. Or I can split it. Which I have to say I think is more authentic of the sort of coiled split tap thing than the 2013 does.
Yeah.
Let me just... You do, of course, get the downside with a conventional split that we lose the humbucking. So
it's only a little bit of hum.
If I put a bit of gain on it, you'll see what I mean. So here is a nice, clean, quiet-sounding humbucker, and there is a slightly noisy-sounding single coil. Anyway, so that's what that one sounds like, and then I can do the same on the bridge position. Split it. Oh dear, don't know what chord that was. Or of course you can have combinations of the two, so you can have the neck pickup humbuckered and the back one, whatever. Kind of cool. I mean,
Very cool.
Heaps of versatility and tone. I went to the zoo the other day.
Really?
Yeah, they only had one dog on display.
Zoos are cruel.
It was a Shih Tzu.
So what we established so far, Lee, is that these are fine guitars.
You know what we haven't told you though, of course.
The value?
Yeah, they are a lot less than a Les Paul Standard would be.
What?
So I know.
Why?
I don't know. Well, I guess the only real saving I can think of is that the guitar isn't lacquered on the backs. There's obviously less choice of colours, but yeah, these are selling for $13.99.
So potentially better than a standard because they have more features,
Yes.
but more affordable than a standard.
Yes, don't ask me why that happens. But that's why I snapped them all up, or as many as I could possibly get when,
How many have
when
you
I
got?
got the offer. About 50.
Now we should point out that if Lee angles his headstock towards that camera there slightly, what you've got here doesn't come with the guitar.
No, this
it won't focus here, it'll focus about there.
Them nice people at Planet Waves sent us some tuners. They watched the video and went, "Why are you always out of tune in all your videos?
Why are you always playing in a hot room?"
So we
Yes.
said, well, send us a tuner and we'll try and remedy that.
They're very good tuners.
They are.
And
They're
thank
very
you,
tiny
Planet
little
Waves.
things, aren't they?
They are tiny. Lee, play me some of that Lee blues. That's a tasty bit of playing.
They got some tones in here, haven't they? I'm not disappointed
Which
in
is a surprise.
my decision to. Well, it's never a surprise
That's
when
what
you
I'm
pick up
saying.
a Les Paul and get a good sound out of it, is it?
Yeah. Now, a lot of people say that we just say good things about guitars because we want to sell them. And they're right. But here's the thing. I think, genuinely, most guitars that we sell are great.
I have to say that what about when I first started selling guitars, which was about 25 years ago, absolutely, people would come into the shop and could totally validly go, can you help me find a good guitar, please? Because at that time, you know, particularly the stuff perhaps coming out the Far East or whatever, there was a lot of crappy kind of stuff, and you really had to sort of be careful. Some brands were notoriously bad, and other brands actually had a good reputation. You had things like that back in the day, like when the Yamaha Pacifica was like the only good guitar that you could get. It was a cheap price.
Yeah.
And then over the last 20 years, particularly probably more so in the last 10 years, it's kind of all the bad stuff has just disappeared because you guys don't buy it and it gets a bad reputation, or vice versa.
Especially with the advent of online shopping.
Yeah, forums and all that kind of stuff. So basically, if you have a bad guitar,
it doesn't sell.
Nobody buys it. So I would say now, it's just like there's no bad guitars, or certainly not in our store anyway.
Well, if there was a bad guitar, you wouldn't sell it.
You just wouldn't sell it, yeah.
And the thing is, we love guitars and we love amplifiers because we're guitarists and we just love gear.
There's the wrong guitar.
Yeah.
For the certain applications.
Yeah,
so, you absolutely. We're not going to say you should have a Jackson Warrior with a Floyd Rose on it if your kind of thing is playing
jazz,
Eric Clapton blues and jazz and stuff like that. And likewise, you wouldn't buy a ES 175 if you were going to go and play in a death metal band. Well, maybe you would. I don't know. Someone's going to email and go, what about Minka Bajinga, who plays he plays a 175 and is a serious
Minka Bajinga. If you're out there, I want to hear your music. But basically, when we get excited about guitars and amps, it's genuine.
Yeah.
We're genuine people.
We debate. I mean, if you want to see, there's a good video of us talking about PRS versus Gibson, and that's a classic kind of, there's two very passionate people sitting in the room. Both of us like both those guitars, but if it was our money, I'd buy one and Rob would buy the other.
Yeah.
And neither of us are wrong. It's just.
But he's wrong.
But he's wrong.
So.
So at the end of the day, you're completely right. I make my living by buying and selling guitars. Rob makes his living by demonstrating guitars, and so you're completely right to sort of say that obviously we shoot these videos in the hope that somebody somewhere will connect with it and go, oh, I really like that, I would like to buy that.
Yeah.
But don't get me wrong, we just as much in these videos would like to sort of say, if you don't like the guitar, then obviously don't buy it.
And the thing is, occasionally, if we do get a product that we don't like, we just say that too.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the time as well, because I don't want to put a downer on the manufacturer that made it, we just don't do the demo.
Yeah.
It's not really our place to, damage someone else's livelihood by saying we didn't like a product.
And we're nice people, so
but we periodically, I think we're just objective, aren't we?
We are objective.
We're objective.
Yes.
We try and tell it how it is.
And I'm definitely Rob Chapman.
And I'm occasionally the captain.
And we take it easy.